Hello, everyone. Why am I so small? Wait. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Red Sea podcast. This is Dennis, as always. And yeah, a lot of technical issues today. Tough start, but I think I think everything's fine. I think we got everything relatively quickly at that as well. So yeah, finally, here to talk positively about the football after how long has it been since we had like a purely positive show about the FC? I don't remember, like genuinely, but it was about time. It was about time Olympiacos showed some signs of life. It was about time Olympiacos showed effectiveness in front of goal, especially. It was about time Olympiacos showed some spirit. And it was about time Olympiacos showed just what Olympiacos is realistically. Because we went, well, Mendilibar went with the good old recipe and it worked. No 4-4-2s, no Taremi at the 10, no winger experiments, just a good old 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, whichever one you prefer, with the right side being that which has worked many times. And I saw a lot of people being in absolute despair that Rodinei was going to play winger. I kind of stood my ground because I've said, I think I even said it relatively recently that I still would have wanted Roddy to mainly be used as a winger. And I mean, there's no better way for the man to prove me right than scoring. And scoring a worldie at that. But we'll get to him. We'll get to that in general. But yeah, I feel like the most important thing is just the win. It's the result, because yeah, I would love to sit here and lie and say that, oh yeah, it was some wonderful derby that I would love to see again. And no, it was not. It was an old school derby, to be fair. It was fiery for sure. But the football, especially for the first 30, wasn't anything, really. But what I am very happy with personally is the fact that we finally saw direct football, direct attacking. We didn't see just cross after cross after cross and so on and so forth. Actually, let me pull that up real quick. We had 7 shots. We had 4 big chances. And in regards to crossing, let me actually find out. In regards to crossing, we had 3 out of 8. Mind you, there have been games in which we had 51 crosses. Now we had 8, and 3 of them were successful. In contrast, Pana had 16 crosses. I feel like if this isn't the most direct football we've seen all season, it's certainly up there, that's for sure. And again, I'm not trying to pass off the game as in it being some wonderful show of football, but we got the job done. We had 2 expected goals. We scored Two, defensively, we were relatively solid. Thankfully, Zolakis again was on his day. And there is nothing really to just complain about. I mean, yeah, still worrying. And perhaps we are at the state where it's a bit too little, too late. But the win is important for a lot of reasons, not just for a chance at the league, not just for a chance at coming back, even though we think everything's possible. But the win, for me, most importantly, matters because of this. The win matters for the certainty of Champions League football. Next season, at least qualifier. And the win before we even think of talking about the league, the win matters for second place. PAOK look horrific, okay? I'm not gonna act all high and mighty because we haven't beat them. But PAOK look horrific. PAOK are plagued with injury problems. Plagued. And we look, again, knock on wood, we look healthier than ever. Okay? We look healthier than ever. We look more organized than we have in months, literal months. And honestly, again, I'm trying to keep a level head here. The team isn't just suddenly fixed. But the next two games, I feel like we can secure second place. I really do. Am I expecting to go out at Thessaloniki, go up at Dubai and win? Not necessarily. I am expecting, though, a draw minimum. And I am expecting to beat PAOK here, finally. So if we get that jump and not lose to PAOK, the ideal scenario would be 2 wins. But let's say we get a win and a draw. I feel like PAOK already are so demoralized and their focus is so much on this weekend that I feel like they'll be out of it, like immediately. I don't know what they'll do this weekend. If they play how they did against AEK, they may just completely lose the cup to OFI. I wouldn't be shocked if PAOK lost the cup to OFI. But it's a win-win scenario for us in my book. Because they'll either win the cup and call it a successful season, because with the form that they showed against AEK, their win of the cup will be just a smash and grab, like 1-0. And they'll call it a successful one. Or they'll lose the cup and completely just spiral out of control. I see it as a win-win, and I honestly see a chance that in other years would be considered the bare minimum. But with how things are, I really want to take it step by step. I really want to see out second place before I start talking about the league. I really want to see out UCL qualifiers. Because, again, with how this year has gone, and with the league being semi-wrapped up even though in the back of my mind I still believe that the league's done. But again, you never know with I really would take UCL qualifiers. Not only for the possibility itself of Champions League football, not only for the attraction of Champions League football, not only for the money of Champions League football, but for the summer's planning as well. If we finish second, and get the qualifiers after 2 years, mind you, we haven't gotten qualifiers in 2 years, they'll have to plan better. They'll have to plan faster. The team is going to get a proper pre-season. The team isn't going to play like 5 million friendly. We'll play 5 friendlies and be done with it and then move on to games immediately. The team will be on form. We won't have the start of the league that we did this year, where everyone else was primed and ready and we were just on vacation still. And we won't have the deadline day BS that we did this summer. Planning will be better. Planning can be better. I don't want to speak about necessities, but we're speaking about possibilities in general, right? So I would really be okay with Champions League qualifiers. I get that on other years it would be the bare minimum, but that for me right now should be the first step. Get 4 points minimum against PAOK, against a disheveled, against a destroyed PAOK, and then see what happens. Because again, maybe just I completely dismantle Pana, okay? And we're left on -7, -5 with 2 games to go, and the league's like officially done. But maybe Pana pull off like a miracle. Again, you never know. You never know who Pana hates more, us or Ike. Probably us, but we'll see. There is a lot at play. My main point is this, okay? I know that realistically, it looks like it's over and we're fighting for second, just second. And realistically, I should be solely focusing on that, but you never know. Wilder stuff has happened. And God, would I love to look at the faces of, I will get to that because I did think about that. I would love to see the faces of Ike fans if we somehow pull this off. I've been completely written off, being down 5 with 4 games to go, and we somehow do it. I would love to see the faces, not just of everyone, because I feel like that will be the total embarrassment. I feel like that's the ultimate embarrassment. I feel like that's perhaps one of the worst scenarios for everyone else. Από τα πιο γλυκά που λέμε. And it's also this. I think Pana will want to win so they're not embarrassed with 0 wins. Well, yeah. I feel like that stands on everywhere. But can they? Like, can they realistically get a result against AEK. That's what concerns me. It's not just that they'll give the games away. I don't think they will. But can they realistically grab a result? Maybe they can grab a draw. But as much as I like to joke about it, I really don't see how yesterday's Pana can do anything against that. If that PAO conceded 3, I feel like Pana eats 5. Because Pana was worse. Pana was much worse than PAO. So I would realistically be hoping for a draw between them two. Just even a 1 point cut, even slight slip up. But if they pull something out of the hat, if a miracle like that happened, then it would be so much more than welcome. But realistically, as I said, it should be baby steps. We should be looking at our own stuff. We should look to get 4 to 6 points against PAOK, secure second place, and then look what can happen with the league. And again, I know I'm sounding delusional. I understand I am actively speaking about a team that up until last game couldn't even sniff a goal. But that was some signs of effectiveness, some signs of adaptability, of which I've been screaming for ever since match day 30. We needed the adaptability that we saw yesterday. We needed the change. We needed to revert back to our old ways, back to winning ways. Exactly how it happened. And if there is anything that I'm certain of, if there is anything that I'm certain about, it's the fact that Mendilibar will not give up. Mendy didn't give up in the Conference League when we were 5 goals down. Mendy didn't give up this year in the Champions League when we needed 3 wins to qualify. And Mendy won't give up now. And there is the man that I was waiting for. Hello. How? Yeah, I was just going on probably a rant that would be considered delusional by many, as you can see by the thing that's written below me somewhere here. But yeah, I was just mainly speaking about that we need to take this like baby steps. It's exactly what you and I were talking about after the game, and I'll let you get your first thoughts in a bit. We need to go and beat PAOK. We need to get 4 to 6 points, if not 6 minimum, against PAOK to secure that second place. And then, because you never know what can happen with Panathinaikos, I realistically said that if that PAOK concedes 3, Pana concede 5, but we'll see. Then you look at everything else. For now, you just need to secure second for me. But honestly, I've been speaking for like 20 minutes and I've barely gotten through my first thoughts. So you've not missed a single thing, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. You know, one of my big takeaways from yesterday, and obviously it's great to finally buck the trend we were on. It's obviously great to win the last derby at Leoforos and have the last word there. But if we really look at this, it still was not a great performance, in my opinion. I think yesterday we benefited a lot from Panathinaikos just being that much worse than we've been recently. So, like you said, it's a great way to bounce back, but we'll have to see if this is a consistent trend or if we just ran into a team that was playing horribly, which Panathinaikos were very poor yesterday. Um, so that's kind of the way I'm approaching it. And as far as the league possibilities, you're right. I mean, you basically have no wiggle room now. If you win out, there's obviously a chance, depending on how things go with Ike and some of the other matches. But you know, chances are we're fighting for second so that we can get into Champions League next season. So uh, obviously a lot of positives yesterday, but I don't think we're at a point where we can get ahead of ourselves. Olympiacos still has a lot to prove in this playoff phase, and we'll just see if that continues or if that was just a blip.
It's exactly, you basically just fully completed my point. But I do want to get your opinion on one more thing before we fully just get into the few points that the game brought up. I spoke about the possibility of qualifiers. And while that would be a bare minimum, Champions League qualifiers, of course, while that would be a bare minimum in some years, in most of other years, perhaps it's a necessity now. If we can't win the league, it's a necessity not only because of the player attraction of Champions League, not only because of the money, but for two other things. For planning, because they have to actually sit down from late May and plan out a proper transfer window and not leave everything up to September 5th. But for a solid preseason as well. Like for the team to actually get some rhythm in their system and not start the league campaign still being on vacation, like we have sadly seen, especially this year. So do you think that can actually be beneficial, or would it not really change much?
I mean, I agree with you. I think, to a certain degree, I think qualifying directly this year did hurt us. And I mean, you saw it in how we started the season. You saw it in how we started in Europe. I mean, it took us so long to get going in the league phase because we hadn't played these level of teams yet. So I think it's good from a competitive standpoint, and like you said, it really does force the hand of the club to prepare early. Um, and there's also benefits if you want to go even deeper than that, coefficient wise. I mean, it'll benefit us with our club coefficient because picking up games earlier on in the season, having more opportunities to do that actually benefits you rather than qualifying directly. So I mean that could help us in future years when we are more competitive in the league and we can have that bonus. We don't have to worry about a team like Shakhtar this season. Even if we do win the league, there's a chance that we might not qualify for the Champions League directly because they're, I believe, like 3 points behind us. So there's benefits there and benefits for Greece as a whole because the only team that can qualify through the league phase of the Champions League is Olympiacos. I mean, we've seen it every other season with every other club. I can't remember the last time a Greek club made it through that qualifying path to get to the competition. So I agree. I think this team needs that, and especially looking towards the summer where we are going to have a lot of change in this squad. We'll see how drastic that is. But you and I were even talking about yesterday. I mean, we need 4 fullbacks. I mean, we probably going to need at least 2 center backs. We're probably going to need a couple of midfielders, wingers. I mean, there's so many holes that we need to fill. So
this needs an episode. That's why I haven't really gotten into talking about transfer because we need to do just a separate episode when the league is done, because that this summer is going to be something.
Yeah, but I mean, to your point, I mean, having more matches to get into that rhythm having, starting your summer at the end of May as compared to the end of June or the end of July, that will have its benefits. So I think with where the team is at, it might honestly be a better thing. We would love to win the league, as kind of far-fetched as that is at this point. But I think just from a competitive standpoint, it might be good for this team to be knocked down a peg and to have to actually play through that, because everything's been, past couple of years, everything's just been highs on top of highs on top of highs. It'll be good to see how this group responds and how Mendilibar responds, because now going into next season, there is going to be some pressure. We're likely going to finish the season without a trophy, unless you want to count the Super Cup, which I'm not super inclined to do. So, I think
I would if we won. I would if we won the league. Now, yeah.
It's like a community shield.
Yeah, that's what it basically is. It's just an extra game for no reason, honestly. But yeah, getting more into the game, there is something I pointed out, which of course I do want your opinion on before we get into the actual goals, is the fact that we finally did what I've been screaming about. And of course, I'm not alone, but I've been getting very annoying on this podcast about. We adapted. We went back to our old ways. We played direct football. We didn't play pretty football, but we played direct football with the solutions that we're used to. I, of course, talked about how people were in despair for some reason about Rodinei being used as a winger, while I've been yelling about the whole season of why he wasn't fully pushed forward as a winger for the entirety of the year, which I still don't get, because it clearly just works amazingly. I mean, the man scored. And we had 8 crosses. We had half the crosses of Pana. And there have been games where we had 51. So I'm not saying that it's the sole reason that we won, because there is a few things that played their part. But don't you agree that it's the main reason we even had the momentum to finally go on and score?
I mean, I think what it was, we played gritty football and we didn't let them establish a rhythm. I mean, that's what we've seen every single team, other than obviously the European competition that's just more skilled than we are. Every team that comes and plays with Olympiacos does exactly what we did. They are physical. They don't let the game produce rhythm for the other team, and they make it tough. We're organized. We're compact. And we weren't just hitting hoping, like you said. I mean, that's what we have allowed teams to force us into, because we don't feel like we can, play through the middle or, what have you. So I thought that was really encouraging. I think it's good to see some toughness from this group, because I think that's one of the frustrating things we've seen this season is we know the skills there, but it's that fortitude, that mental toughness of like, are you going to go take a game by the scruff? And we did that yesterday. And again, it wasn't pretty. That was far from the most enjoyable Olympiacos match to watch of the season, but it was effective. So I think it's good that we were able to win like that, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what kind of football you're playing. If you're getting results, that's the biggest thing. We can sit here and talk about how there were negatives on an individual level. We can talk about how it wasn't a great performance, but we got the results, and that's the important thing.
And especially at a point of the season where you need, it's not that you want the victory, you need the victory, and by any means necessary, and that's exactly what they did. And speaking about the goals themselves, the only thing I want to say about the league is that, of course, the fact that it's as comical as you and I talked about when it happened, but I really want to point out that I got a wonderful flashback of Elder Lopez, the header on the 1-5 against like 2, I'm pretty sure it was El Arabi. So, yeah, it's only PAOK left to give us an assist like that. The other two have done just amazing jobs at helping us win games. And this man, who I actually have some very interesting stats about, because this man loves Panathinaikos as much as his best friend Shaquille McKissick. This man has had.
I think I saw the post you're about to read.
Yeah. Because I tweeted it. That's why. This man assisted that OLY goal back in the 22-23 season. This man assisted Yaremchuk's goal in the cup last season. This man assisted Karmo's goal in the league last season in the draw. This man had 2 assists in the 4-2 last season in the playoffs. And now in the final derby of the shit show that is Leoforos, he scores the winner. 2 goals that, honestly, for their own reasons, were unexpected, but 2 goals that were for sure necessary. And I'm not going to talk about the Martins goal, but the Rodinei goal, as much as it proves that the man needs to be used as a winger now, like there's no doubt in my mind that he needs to move forward for the rest of the games. He can't be used as a right back. As mediocre as Costinha can be, I'd much rather Rodinei up front than him at right back. But that's on the coach, of course. But it also proves that this team has the talent to just take the ball, run and score. We don't need to be crossing the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've been saying that about Rodinei for a while now, especially this season, just because you even saw it yesterday too. His legs are not as much as they've been, but he obviously still has the technical ability, and I think to a degree, the fact that he is so infamous with Panathinaikos. I mean, I guess there's a reason why Fotis didn't like him. It's probably better to have him, running at defenders because, Oh, I thought someone was glitching out. But yeah, I mean,
you keep talking. I'll find a way to keep it up.
Yeah, no, I just got confused for a second. But yeah, like speaking of the goals as well, I mean, what a beautiful way, yeah, what a beautiful way to see off just one of the worst stadiums in Greece with just 2 of the. I mean, you can say the second goal was comical because he ran through about 7 players and they didn't touch him. But the first goal especially, I love the angle where it's like looking from the goal and you see Yedvay as soon as he passes it, he's like absolute cinema.
It's the perfect way to send that hellhole of a stadium off. It's honestly the perfect way to never see it again. And it's honestly the perfect way. Wait, there it is. It's honestly the perfect way to make sure Pana gets back to the European competition, if they get into it, that they can achieve the most in, because this team is not Europa League.
Team is. If OLY wins this weekend, Panathinaikos could miss out on Europe entirely.
Huh?
The European playoff group, wouldn't they get the other Conference League spot?
Does the spot not go away from fifth?
No,
It goes.
I think that it only goes to fourth if the cup winner is in the top three. At least to my
Oh,
understanding. Because
that would
why would
be.
you have a separate European group?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, no, that would be unbelievably amazing. And if they bring in the one that shall not be named, and they have no Europe, oh, I'm going to laugh so much. I'm going to laugh so much. But yeah, honestly, with me not really having much more points to make about the game itself, I just want to talk about one man and get your opinion. The man that, of course, I said that I have no complaints, neither from Ese. For me, he had a very good game. Pirola, Rechos, Jolakis were the only reason we didn't concede. They're the only reason we didn't concede. Not that we'd have lost, but they're the only reason we didn't concede. You talked about the fullbacks enough. You talked about the fullbacks perfectly. And there is one man. Notice how I'm skipping over someone, but there is one man that I want your opinion on and why this is happening. And that's Ayub El Kabi. The essay pass as much as that would have been a generational assist. On one hand, I get how that can be missed. But I think yesterday was the first time we've seen Ayub miss a shot basically from the goal line. It's usually the opposite. Usually Zelson misses those and Ayub scores them. I didn't expect there to ever be the opposite basically happening. Do you think that Ayub maybe lacking confidence? Maybe having something else in his mind? I don't know. Do you think that will continue? Do you think we'll get the Ayub we know and love of the remaining games? What do you think is happening with him? How is our most clinical striker missing those stunts?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was weird from an Ayub perspective. I mean, yesterday was the first time I think I've ever seen him look just genuinely disinterested and frustrated at times. Like his body language, especially. Like there was one time in the first half, and I can't remember if this was before or after the 1-0, but he felt like he got fouled. I don't really think he did, but he felt like he got fouled. He goes down, and then he just kind of sits there. And
it's before.
Like, yeah, he just
it's a few minutes before the chance he missed.
Yeah, I mean he stays down, doesn't get up. I mean we get the ball back and are coming back up and attacking, and he's not in the picture because he's feeling sorry for himself. I don't know what is going on with him, but there definitely is something there. It could be frustration from the lack of scoring. It could be, other things that are going on. I mean, only he knows. But that was the first time I was ever just like kind of frustrated with him and almost like, hey, like if this game doesn't go well, you take him off because you don't like seeing that sort of body language. But he does not seem himself for whatever reason, and I think going back to what we said originally, having a longer preseason, next season not having the disruption of AFCON, because that's what really seemed to derail his season, which again I don't understand because he was fantastic at AFCON. It could have been us rushing him back for the Champions League, I'm not sure, but something happened, and I think he needs that refresh and that reset, and we haven't gotten to a point in the season where he could have that. But it is concerning, obviously. Nobody is ever going to give up on Ayub El Kabi at Olympiacos, but it does worry you. This is the first time since he's been here that I've ever been a little concerned about him and where he's at.
And again, we're not going at the Ubel Kambi, right? That should be more than self-evident. It's just a bit of a worrying sight, not only for Ayub himself, but because we don't really have anyone else at that position that is as trustworthy as Ayub. I'm sure he'll be right back to it, but honestly, it's just a bit worrying. Just a tiny bit worrying. And perhaps the last point of today, before we just go over MVP and the rest of the games and close up, because I know you have to go in like 5-10 minutes. I liked that we saw Scipione. I would have loved for him to either start or come on for Christos Mozakitis, not having Garcia start. But I like that we saw him because once again, even though he hasn't gotten any serious game time recently, I feel like he looked fantastic. Like, he's ready. He's ready to stay here. He's ready to have a role. And again, circling back to the preseason, if this man, just skipping over his saga last summer and having him for a full-on preseason here, can really do wonders. And it can really solidify him as a player, especially with a terrifying prospect of Christos Mozakitis being sold. I'd be more than happy if Scipione grabbed his chance and proved himself as an Olympiacos starter next season.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Every time he's come on, like because again, like you said, he's mostly only ever played cameo appearances. He always does. He shows the same thing. I mean, he's obviously has more than sufficient technical skill. I wouldn't even say that's the strength of his game, but he's also so adept at just being able to slot in and get stuck in and impose himself and be physical. So, I mean, I think that makes him such an easy piece to insert. I mean, you could almost say that he could be, I definitely think he should be a Danny Garcia replacement because I think he can fulfill that role. But, you know, he might have to be a Mouzakidis replacement as well. But I already think I think he will fit well with whoever you put him next to, whether that's Eze next season, whether that's, you know, Nascimento down the road or Chiquinho, whoever it is. He's one of those guys that just he fits wherever you put him. So, like you said, I've never not been impressed by him. I think that every time he has gotten to play, he's been a positive addition to whichever match it's been. So, yeah. This summer, like you said, should be a lot easier as far as integrating him. And I one of the things I do hope looking forward, you know, I hope that Mendilibar gets more of these players involved. That was one of the things that kind of frustrated me yesterday. We only used the 3 subs. Why didn't Andre Luis play? Why didn't, you know, Clayton play? Like, get some of these. He
wasn't in the squad. Clayton wasn't in the squad.
I can't ever keep track of who gets picked and who doesn't, but I know Andre Luis.
And you shouldn't have to.
But yeah, I mean, I want to keep seeing these guys get integrated, especially if we do get to a point, which we might get to very soon, where the league is out of reach, our spot might be solidified. That's the time to do it, especially getting to play some of the better teams in Greece, because I feel like that's a better experience than playing against Panserikos or Lamia or whoever the hell.
Yeah, that's for sure. I really want to find a happy medium going forward. I really do. Like, having this type of football, this direct type of football, and then bringing people like Scipione, like Andre Luis, like whoever off the bench, give a fresh air to the team and see out games properly. It's not the fact that we have no other chance. We have no other choice. We need to stick by this. Otherwise, even second place is in severe danger. Let's not be delusional. Let's give the team some time to see if they can keep this up. I want your MVP for sure. And then the closing segment will be just general thoughts on where the team can realistically hope to finish.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna have to hop after MVP.
I'll cover the rest, of course.
I would say as far as yesterday, I would give it to Zolakis. Again, he's always very solid back. I think you could give it to Ratsoso Pirola as well. I thought both of them did a good job of being physically assertive, and I think those two specifically were really able to nullify Tete, who has been a problem for Panathinaikos. I mean, he's had a great season since coming over, and I think they really frustrated him yesterday. So I would say any of those.
He murdered Ese. He for sure was.
Yeah, well,
frustrated.
Pirola put a hole in his boot, so I guess he kind of earned that shot on us. But hey, I'm glad that we were able to get him to focus on something other than scoring goals.
That's what I mean. He missed, for his standards at least, he missed a couple of sitters as well, which for sure came down to that. Thanks for finding the time to hop on.
Sorry, I couldn't stay longer. I just got to hop to something, but
man, that's for sure. Thank you again. We'll talk after, as always. Take care.
See you guys.
I won't keep you all for much longer. I just realistically want to close off with what we started. And I really want to think. I'll give out some positive predictions, and I know this is going to get clipped, but I'll give out some positive predictions. I do realistically think we'll grab 4 to 6 from PAO. And I think that we'll get a draw in Tupa and come back and win here. Now afterwards, I feel like we'll beat Pana again, because I feel like Pana will have nothing to play for at this rate. And then it's really out of our control. I don't know with Ike. I really don't know with Ike. That's the thing. I mean, I'd be hopeful that we can beat Ike, but I really want to wait and see what we'll do against PAOK and see if the form that we saw yesterday is something sustainable. But again, the certain thing for me is that the team won't give up and Mendilibar won't give up. So for now, the important thing and the thing that I will give my main predictions on is that we'll get 4 points minimum against PAOK. I really believe that. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed today. As always, I hope you all enjoyed a positive video on the FC after a while. Sadly, no football this weekend, as it is the cup final. But we have EuroLeague playing tomorrow and on Friday, which I'll definitely be commenting on because I can't wait to see who we'll face. And I have a lot of things to say about a certain someone. So as always, thank you all for the unbelievable support. We're getting closer and closer to 500, halfway to 1K here, and all platforms are rising faster than ever. So a thank you is honestly the bare minimum. I'll see you all the next time.